Alright, here is our air-fuel ratio gauge reading system. Lonely Rider is not a professional mechanic and is not responsible for any personal injury or vehicle damage that may result from individuals attempting the repair shown in this video. You have been warned. Try at your own risk. Here's the gauge itself, and then this is the O2 sensor, and there's all the cabling. Again, I explained this whole system and even demonstrated it on the Z in another video. I'll link to that. So right now, I'm just gonna figure out on this bike the best way to run the cable pass through the bike, which is gonna be pretty boring. I'm not gonna really film me doing it. I'll just film the results when I'm done and show you how I did it. Now we just gotta put our O2 sensor in and then run the cabling up through the bike. So after I installed the mid pipe, I realized that this bung that came on the pipe is too small for my sensor. The one that comes on it is for the stock sensor for the bike, which is an M12 1.25 pitch, but my sensor is much larger. My sensor is an M18 1.5 pitch, so I just had, my dad has a welder, so I just had him weld me a new bung down here, put in, and I'm gonna get rid of this bolt later and put an actual zinc plug in there to plug that one up. That's what I had to do, but it looks like there was just enough room in here for that to fit. Okay, so it looks like the best thing for me to do here is run the cable behind the kickstand up and around this plastic part of the fairing right here, and then to go up around here and up around where the fuse box is and go up underneath the gas tank and hook into my harness right there. So I'm just kind of going along and pushing it down underneath this rubber shielding here. Then I'm going to go up right through the frame up here and up underneath the gas tank. Okay, we got it to here, but it was just too tight in here to get this big plug up through there without having to take this plug apart and take the pins out of it. I really don't want to do that, so I just pulled this down enough and I pulled the fuse box holder off of the pins right there so that I could pull this down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to feed this thing up underneath the fuse box and then up around over to my harness. That was a tight fit up through there, but we got it. So now we gotta hook it into our harness, and then we gotta hook the unit up to the fuse box, which is right here. Okay, now the first problem I see here is the Suzuki uses the smaller style fuses, whereas the Z1000 used the larger standard blade automotive fuses. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to switch out this fuse tap or add a circuit with this one, which has the correct style blade that the Suzuki uses. So I'm going to have to cut this off here, probably get probably a couple feet of wire, splice some extra wire into there so I can run it down to the fuse box here, and then splice this into that wire, and that will give me the ability to plug this into this fuse box. Okay, for this add a circuit, the slot facing the blade, that is for the original circuit that you're tapping into. I am going to go into the plug for the turn signals, which is right there. So I am going to leave that original fuse there. For the air fuel ratio gauge, you only need like a 5 amp. So I'm going to get, I don't have one here, I'm going to get a 5 amp fuse and put in that slot. And then I'm going to install it into the fuse box just like that. And then just put the cover over. Maybe I might just put some black electrical tape. This is just going to be temporary anyway. Okay, I was able to splice some extra wire into that, and then I ran it down underneath here, and I crimped a bullet connector style on it, so now I can connect these two together like that. Slide the cover over top. Okay, and stuff them down inside here. Alright, now with that hooked up, and with our negative hooked to the battery, we're now ready to do a startup test. Make sure it gets power. And there it is. Okay guys, here we are in the garage. I've got the Power Commander 5 software loaded. We're going to go ahead and we're going to plug our USB into the Power Commander 5. Back in the old days with the Power Commander 3, you had to actually have the engine running to supply power to connect to the Power Commander, but with the Series 5, it draws enough power just from the USB that it will turn on from USB power and the computer will automatically connect to it. And it's supposed to, if you have it set to, go ahead and pull the map that is on the Power Commander, which right now is just a bunch of zeros, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the bike. I'm going to have the gauge here I unmounted it just so I could hold it and show it to you. I turned tracer on it so that it will show us exactly what cell it's actually on, and then I'm just going to kind of give you a demonstration of the process. Now, of course, you actually can't tune a bike this way because it's going to behave different with air coming in the scoops and it under load on the rear wheel, which we don't have a dyno. So this is not really how you tune a bike. I'm just showing you this just to kind of demonstrate conceptually what you're trying to achieve here. So we're going to go ahead and start the bike and let it warm up. So you can see as it's tracking the RPMs, it is also tracking the cell that it's currently in. So we're idling at about 12.5 and we're getting warmed up now, so that's a little too rich. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my idle to be a little bit more lean because I don't want it quite that rich when it's idling. So I'm going to do probably -5 in both of these cells, and you'll see the change. See that? That's what -5 does. So that's the basic concept. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rev the bike a little bit, and I'm going to look for maybe a bad spot just somewhere around here, and we're going to make an adjustment. So it got a little lean around 3,000 RPMs right at this cell right here. So I'm going to increase the fuel in that cell a little bit. So by increasing that cell by 5%, I hit 13.0 on the gauge. So as you guys saw, it's literally just battleship. You're just scanning the RPMs, you're finding where it goes real lean or real rich, you're finding what the throttle position is at that spot, what the RPMs are at that spot, you're converging on that cell, and you're taking the cell up or down, more fuel or less fuel, to make it more rich or more lean to get to about 13.0 or 13.1 depending on your preference, or whatever air fuel ratio you're searching for. That's pretty much the concept. Now again, obviously you can't tune a bike just by sitting here and revving it. You have to actually take it out on the road. You have to record the data, put some masking tape here and draw some lines for your throttle percentages so that you can see what your throttle is at. Go for a ride, find the rich spots and the lean spots, make note of where they're at, come back, go into your map, make the adjustments, send the map to the bike, go back out on the road, and just keep repeating that process. And it'll take you a couple of weeks, but eventually be able to get it dialed in pretty good. I can honestly say the bike is all there now. Whew. Fuel injection system is fixed. I got the bike tuned in pretty dang close, and I got a little bit of variance, but not much. It's pretty close. And I gotta say, This thing runs amazingly better than it did when I got it. Again, I apologize for the sun glare. You probably can't see the dial at all, so you're just gonna have to trust me. Corn's high right now, so I gotta watch myself at intersections. Lots of blind spots. Don't get me wrong, I love naked bikes too. I love the Z, like I've said, but I'm telling you, there is nothing like the exhilaration of riding a super sport bike.